In England, I can't remember seeing a dead man. I just saw them. I saw them badly wounded and badly hurt, but an actually dead man. And I have a picture of it right there, of that plane that I pulled him out of. The reason I say he was a dead man is because when I pulled him out, I only pulled out half. I pulled out the bottom half of him, and I was sick all day. I just couldn't imagine how horrible it was. It was a tail gunner on a B-17, and it, from the looks of the plane, it had exploded just right in front of him. And I was one of the first ones over there, and I got into the tail gunner's position, and I grabbed a hold of what I thought was his body, and I started pulling him out. When I got him out to where I could see it, I had only the lower half of him. The rest of him was still in the plane, and I was sick all day. I'd never seen anything so horrible all my life as to pull out a half of a body. That was the hardest one I believe I ever worked on. But I got a picture of it right there. Not the picture of him, but a picture of the plane.
Well, how'd that make you? After doing something like that, how did that make you feel, seeing something like that?
Well, I hated the Germans worse than I ever hated them. It affects you. If it hadn't have been for them, we wouldn't be where we were at. And that man would still be alive.
Did you have to get his upper half as well?
Hmm?
Did you have to get his upper half as well?
No, I didn't go in there for his upper half. I think that was pretty well shot away. I think all that was left of him was just pieces. Because the only thing that I had was just his bottom half. And I pulled him right out through the section of the plane which would have been the waist gunner. And
well, was he the waist gunner or the tail gunner?
The tail gunner got killed, but we pulled it in through the opening where the waist gunner would be. Mm-hmm. Of course, that was all shot away too.
And this was a B-17 that got hit by flak, or was it an enemy fighter? What do you think?
I think it was Akak that got him.
Hmm. And how many days after D-Day was this?
Oh, golly. I guess it had to be about, I'm going to say maybe about 30 days after D-Day that happened. Maybe a little more.
So can you take me through, you guys arrive in France 4 days?
4 days after D-Day, we went in as, they didn't ship all of us, they only shipped part of us, and the rest of them was going to follow. And they didn't follow us for almost, about 2 weeks, I guess it was, before they finally come over. But it was a rotten situation. Personally, I don't know how the devil the guys, I'm going to call them the infantry and the Navy, how they ever made it, but those guys, they pushed right on through. And I'm thankful they did, because going in there 4 days later was not too bad.
But can you talk to me about, by the time you guys got over to France, had this become your unit's specific role to go to wrecks?
Yes.
To try to get all the...
Yes.
Your point, I'm assuming, you guys were trying to clean up the wreck,
yeah,
get the bodies out, and find the reusable parts?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Get the guns and get the bodies. The guys were more important than the guns. Then after you got that out, then we stripped the airplane and just junked it.
What happened to the men in the tanks?
Usually when the tanker got the tread blown off or anything else, the belly of the tank, which is the worst spot, got blown up too, and those guys got pretty badly wounded by shrapnel and stuff before, and we would have to get up in there and pull those guys out. Some of the guys were pretty mobile and could pretty well get maneuvered around to where they'd get out, but sometimes we had we used a belt on some of them and get underneath their arms and pull them out. But they were all bad sights. There wasn't anything nice about any one of them.
Did you ever have to work on some wrecks under enemy fire?
No. No, every time that we got into it, the enemy was pretty well cleared out or on the way out.
Give me an idea of how many wrecks you worked on.
Oh, geez. Gosh, I can't even imagine. 40, 50 of them?
Over the course of the war?
Huh?
Over the course of the war?
Yeah.
I mean, was it what, one wreck every couple days, or?
Oh, no, it's I don't know.
When you weren't working on wrecks, what were you doing?
You know, that's a hard one to answer, because not a day went by that there wasn't a crashed aircraft coming in, but we weren't the only ones to get those guys. Sometimes we'd get up there. Sometimes we were sent out on out into the wooded areas. A B-17 had crash landed there, and they had got all the men out, but we had to strip the plane, pull the guns and stuff out before before anybody else got to them, because we didn't know what they would use them for, if they used them at all.
All right. Well, talk to me about, did you actually have to go inside the wreck?
Oh, yes.
What was that like, standing in a wrecked plane?
Well, they didn't resemble a plane pretty much when we got into them.
What did it resemble?
They had the sides torn out of them and stuff like that. So where we didn't have to, we just pushed this metal out of the way and would go back into them. But
were you given gloves at least? Were you given like work gloves to move all the metal?
I just had regular leather gloves and just go in there and never paid too much attention to what the plane looked like. We were interested in getting the guys out.
What was the most common kind of wound that you guys would see then?
Mostly it was shrapnels. Mostly just pieces from the shell that exploded in the inside of the plane and peppered the guys with the pieces of the shells. Some guys were cut up pretty badly. Some guys just lucked out, had one or two holes, and they were also helping us to get the rest of the guys out.
Now, would you say you worked on more planes or you worked on more trucks, the wrecks?
Oh gosh, I'm going to say it's about the same, but we hit more trucks than we did planes overall, because of the planes had even though they were shot up, they didn't always make it back. And when they didn't make it back, we didn't get into them because we didn't go into the enemy territory after them. But those guys that came back in, sometimes you wonder how they ever flew them to bring them back in.